what depth therapy means more is I can bring the couple together. They can see what's really triggering them in the relationship. And then we can find out what the source was. Because a lot of times we think it's our partner. And in reality, there's more to it. I am all the things that I was up until now. I brought that burn with me to my relationship. Now, maybe I can own my own feelings and where that came from, but also maybe my partner can learn how to be with me and know that I have a burn there and he can be more careful, right? Or I could be more careful with this. And that's the idea, is to find those things that came with us. What I have found is that a lot of the religions are choosing external locus of control. I have to look outside of myself for the answers. When in reality, it's Holy Ghost speaks to you through my body inside of me. I'm just saying yes every day and saying no every day. And
yes.
Where in my life am I not saying no for me or saying yes for me? And how is it impacting me? Our immune system and our emotional system are the same system.
So when we're not being authentic to ourselves and we're saying yes and no, when that's not what we authentically mean or feel, it's compromising our immune system and our whole system. So today with Live Brighter with Tara, we have a special guest. It's Dawn Dominguez. She is the founder of Windows of Hope, which is a nonprofit counseling service. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist, and she specializes in couples and relationships. So Dawn, welcome to Live Brighter with Tara.
Thank you for having me. And
then what would you like to add to that so you can let people know who you are?
Well, I'm an imago relationship therapist and an encountered couples therapist. And what that means is specific types of couples therapy. So we do a little deeper work and connection work and communication work. That's pretty cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to start more at the beginning. And how did you become a licensed family and marriage therapist? What brought you to that decision?
Oh my goodness. 40 years ago, I had my 55th birthday yesterday. So
congratulations.
Thank you. I know, I feel like it was quite an accomplishment, but starting at 15, I had my first therapist. I was a foster child and a runaway, and I met my first therapist and he taught me about therapy. I was really afraid of it, as a lot of us are. In the movies and in media, it's pretty scary, some of the stuff we see around mental illness or therapy or anything about that. So I had a real misunderstanding until I met him. And he was so incredibly helpful and kind and taught me so many things about myself. And I wanted to be like him. So, so I started my journey at 15 of really trying to get all the school in to graduate on time and then go to university. And it was a struggle because I started at like 16 and had to finish high school in a year and a half. So
that's impressive, Dawn, especially from being foster care and a runaway to finding your passion like that and being able to help others.
Yeah, it was fun. I started to enjoy school, and there was a goal in mind, which a lot of times when I'm working with young people, I try to keep in mind and help them understand that we go to school with a goal in mind if we're going to go. Like, what is it that I'm really trying to accomplish, and what do I want to be, and what do I want to do with that?
Right.
And if I could figure that out, then now I have something at the end of the rainbow, so to speak. I'm not just thing, you know? Yeah.
And then you started the nonprofit Windows of Hope in 2006. And it's really neat about this nonprofit because you have clients on a sliding scale. Mm-hmm. First of all, like, where are you located? I know you meet with people Zoom, but then explain more about Windows of Hope.
Windows of Hope is a nonprofit counseling center. A lot of the reason why I started that, I now that I look back, is I really wanted to practice the way I wanted to practice. And I started to get into, I met Harville Hendricks, who is the founder of Imago Relationship Therapy. And I found anywhere that I wanted to work, people wanted me to do it their way. And I wanted to offer the community, everyone, whoever, whether you have insurance or you don't have insurance, or you just need to process something, that you could find us and then have affordable counseling, so that everyone would have somebody to talk to and connect with at that level. And that was the whole beginning of Windows of Hope, was I could practice more depth therapy, the way I wanted to do it. And then also, I could offer affordable counseling to whoever, because a lot of people couldn't find therapy. Their insurance didn't cover it. I don't have insurance that cover that at all. I don't have anyone to talk to about these things that are really troubling us. So that was really the start of it.
That's
Yeah.
huge. That's a very big deal because a lot of people, I would say the people that I talk to that want to go to therapy and don't, they say, well, it costs so much. And so
Yeah.
to know that there's options and how important it is, and then describe what depth therapy is. Like, tell me a little bit more about that.
What we do is a lot of deeper connected trauma work. So what we do all anything that that people bring forward, but what depth therapy means more is I can bring the couple together. They can see what's really triggering them in the relationship, and then we can find out what the source was, because a lot of times we think it's our partner. And in reality, there's more to it. I am all the things that I was up until now. I'm the little girl who was in foster care. I'm the young woman who ran away. I'm the young woman who started school by herself with a frying pan and $20 and no support. No one in my family went to university, so I had to figure it out on my own and make that happen. And to really rely on everything that they've taught me along the way. So when I met my husband and I connect with my husband, I'm all of those people. So he could behave in a certain way and open up something that maybe happened when I was little. And I can help couples find that. And we can actually feel the original trauma, hopefully through the relationship, which is beautiful.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and traumas do, unresolved traumas, it's amazing how they do impact us and our relationships.
Yeah. The way I describe it is, if I have a burn here on this hand and I don't have a burn here and I blow on this burn, it hurts. If I blow on this hand, it doesn't hurt. Same blow.
Mm-hmm.
I brought that burn with me to my relationship. Now, maybe I can own my own feelings and where that came from, but also maybe my partner can learn how to be with me and know that I have a burn there and he can be more careful. Right. Or I could be more careful with his. And that's the idea, is to find those things that came with us in this process. Yeah.
And understanding, those core wounds and how to be thoughtful and healing of those. That's huge. Mike and I have talked about that a lot as far as with us. So that's awesome. Do you feel stuck in an area? Are you avoiding making some decisions? You're not alone. That's why I want to invite you to Coffee Chat. We're meeting October 19th in the morning, and I'd love for you to join. It's just a small group of women that we can empower, learn, and have some fun. I'll see you there. So you experienced your own religious abuse in relationship and just in the community. How did you overcome it, and how do you help others?
Yeah, I think in religious abuse can be defined in a lot of different ways, right? And some of us don't even know that it has happened to us.
Yes.
Some of it is explicit and it's obvious, right? It can happen sexually, it can happen in controlling ways, and it can happen physically, like with physical abuse as well. There's other types of abuse, and it's manipulation, right? And I guess at the basic level for me, I overcame and found my own power internally. I was being, how do I want to describe it? Being a young woman and 19 years old and going off to university. I was alone. I had $20. I had a frying pan. I didn't have a job. I didn't have financial support. So when I left to go there, it was a religious university, and it was a religion that I was a part of at the time. It all seemed okay, but what I found was I was being led externally rather than internally, and so there was fear instilled in, we need to behave a certain way and we need to marry a certain way. And what ended up happening for me is that I had to leave my fiance at the time to follow the religion. There were guidelines and certain manipulative tactics that I felt were being used, not by the religion itself, but maybe some of the members of that religion, because we wouldn't want to discount the religion, but the some of the members and some of the people in my life using control and manipulation to guide me. How I overcame that is by finding, again, my internal source, because my internal source in my guide is inside of me. And I can communicate directly with myself and with any other entity I choose to follow, and connect to that and find my way. I don't need to look outside of myself or be told how to be a certain way, right? We're talking a lot about that. We're talking a lot about choice right now, especially here in the States. And so I think that choice was the way that it was meant to be in the first place. And yet we're taking choice away, and we're not. I say it like this. This is how I like to look at it. Punishment and reward, right? Very, very, very rudimentary. Okay. If I'm driving down the freeway, if you're driving down the freeway, I'm sure there's laws where you are about how fast you can go. What do you do when you see somebody who like a police officer, let's say, that, and you're driving down the freeway? First thing you do.
Slow down, check if I'm speeding, which is probably often.
But you need someone outside of you to tell you. But if you had internally some type of understanding about speed and how you need to move and what needs to happen, now all of a sudden, and I believe we can do that for ourselves. I don't believe we need to have an enforcer outside of us. But they've set it up, some of the people that I've talked to and connected with on my journey, that they've set it up where I have to check in with somebody else. Yes. Somebody's watching me and I'm going to be in trouble, or there's punishment, or there's humiliation, or there's something else because I'm not perfect. Mm-hmm. Now, I was born Jewish and I was born Catholic. Okay. But back in the day, in the 60s, that meant something. Now we're moving away from it a little, but not really. Okay. So I'm those two things. In my Jewish culture, it's taught a sin is missing the mark. Meaning, if I'm throwing darts and I miss the middle, I get more chances to hit that middle, don't I? Mm-hmm. But in some religions, very, very rigid religions, a sin is shame, and it's ugly, and it's painful, and you need to be shamed, punished. And that's not what it was meant to be, the original translation anyway. So that's what I have found along the way, that I was being led that way. And I needed to find my way out of that. And the way I found my way out of that was by looking inside myself with my therapist and finding my own way. And we don't have to throw away God if we have to say goodbye to our religion. We can keep that if we want. And if we don't have to.
Right. Yeah. Well, I feel like God is, or source, or however, is talking to us all the time. And then if we're along with Christian theories, then the Holy Spirit's in us. And so I feel like we do need to look within us, and God is talking to us. So I definitely see what you're saying.
Yeah. And if anybody knows about Virginia Satir, we'll bring it into that a little bit. In the humanistic theory, her name was Virginia Satir, and she wrote a book called The New People Making. And she talked about a thing called internal locus of control and external locus of control. What I have found is that a lot of the religions are choosing external locus of control. I have to look outside of myself for the answers. When in reality, it's Holy Ghost speaks to me through my body inside of me, not through somebody else. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. And that's where we talk a lot as a kind girl, because as a recovering overly kind person, I was constantly over serving and always looking for the external validation and this and that. It was very externally focused, as I'm trying to love others constantly and then not loving myself or being kind to myself. So it was definitely an external focus.
Yeah. I'd like to invite in, do you know who Gabor Mate is?
I've heard of him.
Okay, I'm in his 1-year compassionate inquiry thing. It's beautiful. If anybody's interested, it's great. I've been doing it here. But one of the things he talks about is saying yes every day and saying no every day. And
Yes.
right, where in my life am I not saying no for me or saying yes for me? And how is it impacting me? Right? Our immune system and our emotional system are the same system.
And
So,
that's huge.
right? That's impacting my whole physical being when I'm not listening to myself.
Right. So when we're not being authentic to ourselves and we're saying yes and no, when that's not what we authentically mean or feel, it's compromising our immune system and our whole system.
Yes. Yes. This is so cool that this is, because this is all part of the whole thing. Because in December, when I very first heard him speaking and I took that in and I really started practicing, where am I not saying no in my life today? Where am I not saying, and how is it impacting me? I was becoming so sick physically. I had a whole immune disorder. I still do. And I've gained 10 pounds. I'm getting healthy. And it's because I'm learning to say no and learning how to say yes. Even further, even more than all these years, like into my 55th year, like I'm getting stronger even still. Like there's always time to learn and grow. I mean,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Nice work. I especially like the connection with autoimmune. I think about back to when I was in my destructive relationship and how my immune system was functioning. It was really bad. Autoimmune, infection, always having physical challenges.
Yes. I mean, I've had exploratory surgeries. I've had parts of my body actually start to stop working, all kinds of things where I've had so many surgeries. And a lot of that was in that relationship. And I'm
Because
so
you remind me, you were in a destructive relationship for a while.
I was in a relationship that was part of that whole religious experience that I had. And again, not the religion, some of the people that I was part of, because I don't want to do that. We don't want to, we want to be people. But he was committing crimes and lots of things behind my back. And a lot of stuff was hidden in that. And so my body was responding even though I didn't know what was happening.
Yes, it's so interesting. Our body keeping the score and kind of knowing what's going on when we cognitively are not aware and don't understand.
Right. We can feel it and we know it's in the space. And so a lot of times, even if we don't consciously know, our body can feel everything that's going on. And so that's a lot of why I got very sick. Yes.
Yeah. I'm relying so much more on my body than my mind. I had a experience just recently where I was with someone that is, abusive in a lot of ways. And my mind kept wanting to justify it. And both times I was around him, I got COVID. My immune system just like, blah, blah, blah. And I got super, like, I haven't been that sick in ages. And both times I got super sick and then basically connected the dots a little bit later. But it's very interesting, like how our bodies, have much more wisdom. I mean, our brains can only, as far as cognitively, only remember about the 10% or whatever, but our body knows all of that. Our subconscious does in our body. So it's very interesting.
Because have to is, this is my structure. This is what I'm supposed to do. There's rules. It's rigid. This is what I need to do, which is what I was caught up in. That was my marriage. And the marriages we're creating is, I get to be with you.
So Mike and I will say to each other, I choose you today. It's like we choose. We're not obligated. I'm not stuck.
So freedom is found when we exercise our ability to choose. The more we are able to know we have choice, to visit our traumas, clear them out, and make shifts there, understand ourselves better, the more we'll be able to have that freedom that we're looking for. Many times we don't exercise choice because our authentic self is in direct contradiction to our attachment. And learning to say no and yes is imperative when we are talking about freedom, because we're not free if we're a prisoner to our attachment style.
Stay tuned for our next episode.